Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and this is Elite Dangerous. Today we're looking at Chapter 4, Beyond. The new exploration updates coming very soon. And you can see right here, one of those new surprising features is night vision on the dark side of planets. With the new update, a new lighting system is coming, and one of the side effects of that means the dark side of planets is now going to remain very dark, even when you're down close to the surface. And to avoid any pitfalls here, to avoid any problems, they've got a nice new night vision mode, and this will allow you to fly into the canyons as well as find anything you need to on the surface and do all the rest of the things. Now, from what I understand, at least from what I was made aware of earlier on, the night vision mode is not available in the SRV, but it is quite clearly available in all the ships. It's going to be a pretty neat feature. Another new thing that people have been asking for a very long time that's going to finally arrive in Chapter 4 are Orrery maps, and we'll have a look at that slightly further into the video. But sticking with lighting for a moment, this will become apparent pretty much everywhere in the game, and one very notable location will be in Asteroid Rings. And you can see there's some god rays here. This has been sped up somewhat so it becomes a little bit more dramatic and a little bit more noticeable, but the quality of the fog is drastically improved, as is the lighting. And this will affect many zones and many areas. Here is another example. And here is an example near a star. You can see how the colour grading is affecting the lights on the cockpit, or the lighting on the cockpit rather. Now this does happen a little bit in the game right now, but it's much more dramatic here. So the net result is that colours, lighting and all the rest of it will change depending on your location. So let's move on to exploration then. Now one of the big changes coming here is what Frontier are calling Communal Discoveries. As it goes right now, if you go into a new system, this one here is Beagle Point. It's new for the player here because this is a new account. Effectively, your first entry into that system, you'd have no information there until you do a discovery scan. That is now going to change. Any system that has been discovered by another player, as soon as they send that data would automatically become available to you. So essentially, mapping the galaxy is going to become a collaborative process. As players move out and spread across the galaxy, as they make discoveries of planets and surface information, that information will be automatically shared with everyone else. Now some players may say this is how it works at the moment, but that's not quite true. At the moment you have to go into a station and use Universal Cartographics to buy some of that information, and even then not all of the information is available. So in that regard, the new system is going to be pretty different indeed. The other thing, and the thing we've all been waiting for, are the upgraded sensors. These affect both the Advanced Discovery Scanner as well as the Surface Scanner. Now all players that have these scanners outfitted will have them automatically upgraded to the new functionality, and if you've got a basic or intermediate Discovery Scanner, this will automatically be upgraded to the Advanced Discovery Scanner as well. Now one thing players, or some players at least, were worried about with the new exploration changes was the loss of, or the potential loss of honk, scan and jump. That's where players jump into a system, do the Advanced Discovery Scan and then jump straight to the new system. Now this is still going to be a thing, but the only difference will be that you won't get a full system map. Instead, what will happen is that you jump into the system, do Advanced Discovery Scan. The system will then discover the star only and nothing else, but you will still get the full credit value for the entire system, or at least the value here will be the same as the current system. So that means even without discovering each individual planet, you're about to move on and still keep the same amount of credits that you would currently. However, for players who do want to discover the other planets, there is a new system now. So once you open up the analysis mode, it brings up a FSS scanner. And at the bottom of this, you can see a Spectral Analysis mode. This little information at the bottom, the bar there, will let you know what's in this system, whether that's stellar bodies, stars, USSs, or indeed anything else. So the Spectral Analysis becomes populated when you do a discovery blast. And Frontier were very keen to point out here that you can use the information, the lines that appear at the bottom, to actually figure out what type of planets they represent. Now this will take a little bit of getting used to. It's going to take a little bit of learning. You're going to have to get good, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. But the short of it is that you'll be able to use the Spectral Analysis at the bottom there to get a very quick overview of what's in this particular system. So you can just look at that and get a very quick idea of whether or not there's an Earth-like here, or a gas giant, or an ice body, or whatever else it is you're looking for. If it's there, you can stay and get some more information. If you're not seeing it here on the overview, then you can simply leave for another system. But if you do want more information, then you can fine-tune on the spectral analysis, and this will direct you towards planetary bodies. And you can see these appearing as hotspots on the in the star system right now, but zeroing in on them will give you more detail, and you can see it's kind of pointing you to the right location. Now, once you're zeroed in on it, you can zoom in, and if it's a singular body, then it will zoom directly into the planet or moon itself, or if it's a planetary system, so that's a planet with a number of moons, then you will have another step here. You just need to zero in again before you can do the final resolution of the object you're trying to discover. So it's an interactive process here. It's a bit of an involved process, but it's one that will require a bit of knowledge and players getting used to. Now, one other thing you're going to notice here, in addition to getting an image of the planet itself, you also get all the information about the planet. This means that you no longer have to fly up to the planet to get a detailed surface scan in order to gather this information. And that means that you can now jump into a star system, sit there at the star, and get all the details on every single body within that star system without actually travelling anywhere. So it's going to save huge amounts of time in supercruise. You only have to actually travel over to the planets that you want to travel over to. So on the information you saw there, you would have seen that some of these planets have structures down on the surface, and these can be organic structures or maybe some other type of anomaly. You can then fly over to the planet and use the new Discovery probes. So the Discovery probes give us an additional layer of information that we don't currently get about planets. Basically, they allow us to map the planetary surface. And the difference between the way it works now and the way it's going to work in Chapter 4 is that this will reveal all the surface structures down on the planet, whether that's a Guardian site, a Thargoid base, some other anomaly, or even just natural geological structures such as geysers or fumaroles. You'll be able to find them all down there, and they will all appear on your nav panel, and you'll be able to fly directly to those locations without having to worry about planetary coordinates. So probes can be fired if they hit the surface of the planet. They are effectively like ammunition. What's more is they are infinite, so you won't have to worry about running out of these, and you won't have to worry about spending time or wasting time synthesizing them. But infinite probes isn't about making this into an easy mode. There is an efficiency target, and in this case it was just 6 probes. If you reach that, you'll actually get a credit bonus for the mapping of this particular planet. Further, once you've actually got the full map and you head back to the station and sell that data to the station, if you're the first person to have mapped that planet, you will then get the first mapped by tag. And again, this map would also automatically be available to everyone else, regardless of whether or not they've discovered this planet themselves. Now, here's another nice thing, and this is something that I've personally wanted ever since day one. It's an Orrery map. Now, we've got the regular 2D view of the star system here. This isn't to scale, and it doesn't convey correct distances, but the Orrery map, on the other hand, will give all that information. And yes, this is a fully interactive 3D map of the star system you've just discovered. Everything's to scale here. You can zoom right in, and you can see the correct distances, as well as planets in their positions in relation to each other. Personally, I think this is an absolutely stunning addition, not least because it allows you to get a very good idea on the sense of scale. But also, as Frontier continue to iterate upon the game, this should hopefully open up some great gameplay opportunities in the future. So yes, I've got to say I'm very, very pleased about this addition. Now, one thing Frontier didn't show off was any of the planetary or space phenomena. We've seen some clips of space storms or things like that, lightning in space, but these weren't shown in the live stream, so I guess Frontier are waiting for players to see these for themselves when the update hits the servers. Now, the discovery process will work in multi-crew, so you can have one person flying the ship and another operating the discovery equipment. So that will bring some additional functionality to multi-crew. Now, just a few more points on something I touched on earlier, and that is points of interest, missions, and unidentified signal sources. All of these can be located with the new discovery systems, and they will all appear in the analysis mode, in the spectral analysis, as different colours. Also, unidentified signal sources will now be persistent. They will all generate as soon as you jump into a system. You will now need to locate them, of course, but they will remain there, and you'll be able to get an overview on the unidentified signal source before you actually jump into it. You'll get information on what it is, how long it's going to be around for, and how it relates to the background simulation. It's also completely persistent, so if you jump out of the system and go and do something else and then come back, that signal source will still be there, and this will allow you to go and get either a new ship, new weapons, or maybe something else you'll need for that particular signal source. They do have timers on them, of course, so they will eventually expire if you take too long. But at this point, a new signal source will generate, so basically it's a bit of a living system. Now, another big update for Chapter 4 is the Codex. The idea behind this is to make the game more accessible as well as more informative for the players. Now, we're looking at the home screen here, and this is split into separate aspects. We've got the home screen, the session log, statistics, and archive. The session log tracks all the in-game activities, the different things that you've been up to, but this isn't just for your current session. It will also track previous activities and keep a log. Now, there's no details on just how far back that log will go, so it probably won't keep everything, but it will go back a pretty long time. This update, the session log, is also going to be retroactive, so it will contain details on stuff that you've done before this update hits the servers. The stats screen gives you everything you would want to know about the game. Now, much of the stats here were originally on the right UI panel inside your ship, but they've been moved out here to make things a bit easier to see. There's also an archive, and this will keep a record of everything you've discovered, whether it's in-row bases, generation ships, megaships, Dargoid bases, and all the rest of those things. Now, some of these come with logs, and these are voice-acted logs. You would have heard many of them in the past. These will also be collectible here, and you will be able to play them back. Further, from here you'll be able to add them to a playlist that you can access from within the right panel on your ship, and you'll be able to go into that playlist and play all these logs back as you're flying around. Further, with Chapter 4, the galaxy itself has been split into 42 regions. Now, Frontier didn't go into too much detail on all of these, but basically these will all contain different discoveries. In short, players will be able to go out and find things that exist out there in the depths of space. This will happen by 3 different states. The Codex will have rumoured, reported, and discovered. When an item hasn't been found before, it will be listed as rumoured and will give you a bit of information, some hints on how to perhaps go about finding it. Once a player has located it, that will then turn to reported for everyone. And once you go and find the thing for yourself, it will become discovered, although it will still remain reported for everyone who hasn't actively gone and visited it themselves. Now, the idea here is to make the whole discovery process much easier for players. Up until now, players would have had to rely on websites, YouTube videos, and many other things in order to locate anything that's out there. But now, everyone can become an explorer and potentially discover hidden things out there. Now, the Codex also contains a knowledge base, and this is basically all the lore and history of the Elite Dangerous Galaxy. And you can see some examples right here, some very notable ones that people have been trying to find out for a very long time. Now, inside each of these knowledge bases is a lot of text, a lot of information, and fortunately, for those who don't want to read, you don't have to read it.
What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable.
So yes, these are fully voice acted, and from what I could tell, each part of the introduction here, different parts of the chapters, are read by different people. And what's more, all of these can be added into the playlist so that you can play these from directly within your ship. So very, very nice touches here. The other thing that Frontier showed off on today's live stream then was the UI changes. Some of these are quite substantial, and all of this affects your in-ship UI. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on how the UI has been changed specifically here, as that is going to have to wait for the beta build and for me to actually have to try it all out. But the idea behind all this is to make the UI far cleaner and to make it much more intelligent and easier to use for players. For example, on the Transactions tab here, you'll easily at a glance be able to see what missions you've got, what passengers are on board, what outstanding bounty claims you have, as well as a number of other things. The Contacts tab, meanwhile, has a context-sensitive button, and this will make things a little bit easier, even things like docking, which will now be a single click. The comms panel has been changed somewhat, clearing things up, making it easier to use, and there is a squadron feed here as well, but there's going to be more information on that at a later date. The right panel has had some pretty substantial changes, and the first tab is now a home screen effectively, and from here you can access a number of things. The Modules tab appears to remain unchanged, But the fire groups has had a little bit of a change here. It's now labelled Fire Group A and Fire Group B and so on rather than 1, 2 and 3, just to avoid confusion between Fire Option or Fire Button 1 and 2 and Fire Groups 1 and 2. The ship menu has dramatically changed here, and you can access a lot of functions very easily and very quickly from here. Now this will look different depending on what ship you're in and the type of ship you've got outfitted, as well as whether or not you're in an SRV. Ship statistics shows, well, statistics on your ship. Statistics on the player have been moved into the Codex, and we'll have a look at that slightly further on. And the status tab looks as though it's going to be pretty helpful here. Shows you all sorts of information, stuff that's relevant to you, as well as stuff that's relevant to the areas around you. So that would be things such as the powers, the factions, their influence, and many other things. So UI changes are fairly substantial, but again, we're going to have to wait until the beta for me to have a bit of a closer look at those. So a whole load of new things coming to Elite Dangerous with Chapter 4, and this is just a few of them. There's going to be a bunch more live streams as well from Frontier, showing off mining and new scenarios, ships, and a load of other things besides. So do let me know your thoughts and feelings on what you've seen today. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Also, why not head on over to the Discord server where we can have a chat. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.